This is your 16th program on accounting. It is about computer accounting. You probably have remarked that much of the work involved in bookkeeping and accounting is routine copying of names and numbers, ordinary addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, as well as a certain amount of typing of periodic reports. Once the rules are learned, a lot of accounting seems rather mechanical. But this is not true of many accounting decisions. Accountants must continually decide whether a transaction is of one type or another. Although some decisions are obvious, other decisions require considerable study, knowledge, and experience. So it is quite helpful to have a computer perform the routine mechanical steps and reduce the chance for human error. Accountants are not afraid of computers. They welcome and use them as tools. Human beings must design a computerized accounting system for a specific organization, which, like all organizations, has unique requirements. And humans must examine the original records, source documents, and the actual goods to determine what entries are to be made into the computer. What are some of the original records of transactions? Yes. Some automatic accounting systems are not actually general-purpose computers, but are specifically designed bookkeeping machines or systems. They all, however, share one feature. The first entry by a bookkeeper or assistant into the main accounting system may be the only entry made by hand, since all subsequent entries, posting, transfers, and calculations are then made by the automatic system. Such systems are often called automated. We will just say computer or data processing system, and in most cases it is now primarily performed by digital electronics. How many times must a transaction be entered into such a system? Since it is extremely unlikely that two persons will make the same error. Computers can be programmed to detect certain kinds of gross errors or unusual entries, which helps avoid mistakes in the manual entry into the system. What do you think is the principal reason for the use of computer accounting systems? The use of two operators to put the same transaction input data into the computer is called verification of the original recording. This is physically done by comparing two punched cards, or sections of punched paper tape, or by computer check of data in various kinds of magnetic or semiconductor memory. The computer system also may have a program which calls attention to inconsistent results which occur later in its program, such as consumer overpayment and the like, which may have resulted from an error in original data input. What is the term used to refer to checking data input? Yes. Computer systems can be said to have 5 phases in their automatic processing of data. Their input, control, memory, arithmetic, and output. Input and output are relatively easy to understand, for they are the phases which relate to human users. Input is usually by manual alphanumeric, that's typewriter-like and adding machine-type keyboards. What would be some forms of output? Yes. For more than 40 years, punched cards like the IBM type have been used as an input format, since they can be handled easily and are a tangible form of record which is both machine-readable and readable by persons. They can be mailed, perforated, detached, and collated, and reprocessed conveniently. They may serve as invoices, statements, bills, and checks. The standard IBM card has 12 rows and 80 columns. The rows are numbered 0 through 9, and there are 2 unnumbered rows at the top. The columns have small numbers 1 through 80 at the bottom. A printout of the letter or number represented by the hole pattern in any column is at the top. One hole means a number, 2 holes, a letter. 80 letters, digits, and spaces are enough for many transactions, but it can hardly keep data on an entire account. For example, you may need the customer, supplier, or employee's name, address, account number, and billing date, as well as current sales and returns, and old and new account balances. How many rows of numbers are there on an IBM card? Yes. The information on a card is entered by a key punch device printed by a tabulator printer, sorted by sorters, and calculated by central processors. More recent computing systems make less use of cards. Instead, data is entered into magnetic tape or disc, providing instant visual readout from television-type cathode ray picture tubes and hard copy from the teleprinters and line printers. The control phase of the computer system is where the activities of memory and arithmetic logic sections are directed after the data is input and before the results are output. Input data is usually stored at least temporarily in memory, then directed as needed to arithmetic, then eventually released to the output unit. What are some data memory devices? Right. In addition to machine-readable external memory media, such as cards and reel tape, magnetic cassettes, cartridges, solid and floppy disks can be inserted and removed from computers. Internal integrated memory made of tiny donut-shaped magnetic cores and other memory in the form of integrated circuits are used for temporary storage. The arithmetic logic unit does the essential number work of accounting in computer systems. It adds, subtracts, multiplies, and divides as it's instructed to do by the program and the controller. In addition, it compares to be sure that addresses or data are the same as, or perhaps greater or lesser than, some value. How could a compare function be useful? Yes. When we refer to output devices, we sometimes mention displays as distinct from hard copy. An 8-digit display on a pocket calculator or a 20-line display on a cathode ray tube terminal at an airline counter doesn't provide a permanent record. But a sheet of paper or a form which has been typed or printed by a teletypewriter or line printer is permanent. What would such printed records be called? Right. Some printed or typed matter may serve both as a readable hard copy and machine-readable input. For many years, bank checks have been printed with magnetic ink symbol numbers at the bottoms, identifying the bank, and often the depositor's number, too. The check is passed through a magnetic pickup or detector, which senses the width and location of the strokes, which explains why the characters, although recognizable, have such odd shapes. The bank number assigned by the Federal Reserve System for their processors is printed on the left, and the customer account number, if it appears, is on the right. This system is often called MICR. What do you think it stands for? Yes. Ordinary visible characters, numbers, letters, etc., as well as special marks can be picked up with certain photocell detectors. Optical character recognition equipment can automatically read numbers and letters if they are clear and well formed, and with very few errors if they are typed or printed with a special type font. Special marks like these are now being printed on many items of merchandise to identify them, so that by using photocell wands or similar devices, their price can be entered into new type cash registers. A different kind of mark is printed on bulk mail envelopes for photocell pickup. What does OCR mean? The organization you work with may now or in the future use some kind of automatic system to aid in the original recording of transactions or later sorting and filing. To remain aware of such developments, you should occasionally review the literature about this technology. After initial entry into a computer accounting system, transaction data is stored chronologically in computer-type memory. Just as in a manual accounting system, the transactions are first put into a journal until a convenient time for posting to the accounts. A chronological printout or a display readout can be obtained at any time, but is not always necessary. When the transactions are recorded on an external computer memory, such as punched cards or tape, or magnetic tape or disks, these devices must be carefully stored to avoid excessive moisture or magnetic fields. In a computer accounting system, what takes the place of the journal? Very large amounts of information can be stored in external computer memory. But to retrieve this memory, the tape must be taken from file storage and inserted into the computer system. It is then scanned serially, which even at high speed may take some time. Internal computer memory, however, remains in the computer, and any data can be called up in a fraction of a second. Unfortunately, the total capacity of internal computer memory is expensive and limited, so it is primarily used for data being currently processed. How would you describe internal memory? Computer posting of initially recorded transactions might be accomplished by scanning a reel of tape and recording recent data in internal memory, then moving balances one account at a time to the arithmetic unit, where the new amount is added or subtracted, then transferring the new balance back to internal and eventually to external memory. Computers are used for more than mere posting, where only addition and subtraction are involved. Payroll checks can be made out automatically once the regular and overtime hours and the like for individual employees are entered. These hours are multiplied by the properly hourly pay rate, then appropriate percentage or tabulated deductions are made to obtain net pay. Computers can be arranged, instructed, or programmed to make certain tests so that the extensions on invoices, sales slips, statements, or tickets can be checked. What sort of processing steps can the computer do? Right. The output function of a computer system, like the input function, serves to relate the computer to the external world of people and events. And its product may, in fact, be quite similar in nature to the input format: tapes, cards, cartridges, and sheets of names and numbers. Since large amounts of data are required to be submitted to the various governments, especially about employee wages and deductions, computer-compatible output format items, especially reels of magnetic tape, are often sent to government agencies instead of printed reports by large organizations. By the way, the term data, meaning known facts or available information, is held to be a plural noun by grammatical purists. They would say, these data show that, and so forth, instead of this data shows that. Common usage, we think, permits the use of data as a singular collective noun, but you should be aware of the formal usage. While an electromechanical accounting machine must be used in a way which follows fixed procedures, a general-purpose computer may be caused to operate in a certain way by instructions, which themselves are handled rather like input data. They may be entered into the computer by magnetic tape or disk, then stored in internal memory, subject to change by additional instructions. This stored program is often called software. What do you think the computer itself is often called? Computers can make mistakes, but in virtually every case, the cause can be traced to a human error in programming or entering data. Computers are often considered with great respect or even awe, but you should avoid using a computer system as an excuse for delay or procrastination. Even this teaching machine is rarely the cause of problems in learning from its program, which have been produced by people. What are the 5 phases of computer operation? Some external data are readable by persons and other kinds are called machine readable. Which system is both? Each company or other organization which maintains an accounting system is considered unique and may therefore have a unique computer accounting system, although its major features are common to those of other organizations. In what way are these systems likely to be special? In most of the other programs in this series, you will learn the accounting steps as if they were to be done manually, but in fact your experiences with accounting in the future will very likely include using a computer of some sort. The references to manual accounting are made mostly to provide a simple means of understanding the fundamental principles of accounting.